From the Penn Libraries.
We have 10 minutes each, right? So I'm using a little device that tells me when my 10 minutes are up, and then I'm going to pass the device to the next one of us. And that means, well, I didn't tell you that I would. But that means there's a good chance that we will all speak just for 10 minutes. And then the best part, which is I assume we have some time for questions. Okay. So I'm going to speak for exactly 10 minutes from now, if the system works. I'm the wrong guy to go first. I'm an oddball. I'm not really interested in the technology that much. I use it, but I've never been interested in it. Back in 1993, when Kent Peterman and I started talking, I'm not sure talking was the right phrase for it in those days, maybe yawping. I kept saying, it's not about technology, it's about pedagogy. And we were talking about things like, oh my, we're going to put the course descriptions on this thing called the World Wide Web. Oh. And I was never interested in I think the main problem that I've had, so my 10 minutes is really a kind of strange pedagogical autobiography that's probably not relevant to anyone here. And despite my personality, I'm kind of allergic to proselytizing any of this. I wouldn't necessarily recommend that you teach one of these Coursera courses, although I'm having a ton of fun. I wouldn't necessarily suggest that you try to do what I've done because it takes a lot of time and you probably have time that you'd rather spend on other things. But I will tell you about myself. The first thing I had to do was overcome my course fetish. I had this, coming out of grad school, I had this fetish that the course was the thing, and it's not the thing. And I think in 2012 we really realized it's not the thing. The way to overcome the course fetish here at Penn is to do things that are not remunerated typically, that are not rewarded in the structure of reward. They're insane to do, but a lot of us do it. In fact, most of the people in this room probably, and the people who don't are not in this room, which is an easy thing to say to make us all feel good. But anyway, what are some of the things that I did to overcome my course fetish? I formed an undergraduate advisory board when I was the undergraduate chair, and we spent time when the students were really interested in learning and living, which was between about 8 p.m. and 1 a.m., more for me, 8 p.m., not so much 1 p.m., 1 a.m. I lived in a college house, which meant that the course fetish, it's life fetish when you live in a college house. And I found myself teaching my students at all hours. And I put much less emphasis on what was happening in the course. There are many structures at this university that can help you overcome the course fetish. One of them is to start talking to your students after the semester is over, and to have relationships that are not necessarily official advising relationships with them, but to say to the students on December 7th or December 5th, if you want me in your life intellectually, I'm here. I don't, sit on a park bench in College Green and have your office hour, or create a little house on Locust Walk where you just have to sit and people come in and drink coffee. I don't recommend that for everybody. And so I've really focused on finding ways in which the course wasn't the be-all and end-all. The new technologies have only enhanced my ability to do that. That's all. So Facebook like crazy, Twitter for everything, every project, a Twitter feed. Any new medium that comes around, I join it and I'm there. And it's not hard to monitor all those things. If you have a big enough screen, you can have them all there. And taking advantage of the wonderful people who've supported us over the years, people like Mike Ely, who's not here anymore, but he used to stop by. The late Jack Abercrombie used to stop by and say, how can I, I got an idea, Ira Winston and John McDermott, dear friends, and I think we've made these dear friendships out of the fact that they saw in me someone who could be lured into some cool tools. We have all the support available. I'm sorry, maybe I'm overselling you guys, so you're going to wind up getting swamped. And what Anu has done and others is they've just been trying to call out to us to try, in effect, this is my interpretation of it, in effect say, the course isn't the be-all and end-all. The lecture that you give tomorrow is not the be-all and end-all. I'll never forget what John Ricchetti told me once. My senior colleague, who's not a real tech guy, although he tried to adapt to it since retired, we were playing squash one day, and I needed to get ready for class. And he said, no, let's play one more game. I said, no, I need to prepare for class. He said, Al, you've been preparing all your life. And then I realized, and I'd realized this earlier, that I needed to chuck the lectures, all of them, absolutely everyone. I've never lectured since that day. All I do is I put in one pocket, two back pockets. I put in one pocket one question that I pose, and it's a question intended to divide the room roughly into two groups, two intellectual camps, maybe three, sometimes four. It gets complicated if I have a long time. And if that question doesn't work, I have one in my left pocket. And the left pocket is the second question that I know will work, and that's all I do to prepare for class. And of course, I've been reading and I'm ready, but that's all I do. So the flipped classroom preceded the technology that gave us the phrase flipped classroom. It preceded it for me by years. Long before this thing called the World Wide Web, I had flipped my classroom. I said to them, look, I have this instinct right now to give a mini lecture, and it'll take 25 minutes, and we only have an hour and 20, and I'm going to suppress that desire. Actually, the first time I did that, did anybody remember Jerry Tarkanian? Anybody? Who was he? Yeah, for the Running Rebels of the University of Nevada at Las Vegas, and he was a guy who couldn't help but talking, and he would get kicked out of games for that. And he had a towel. He used to bite his towel. I actually brought a towel into class, and when I felt the lecture coming on, I bit the towel. And my students thought that was hilarious. They realized that I could lecture, that I could be fabulous, that I could be scintillating, that I really know this stuff better than they do. But that what needed to happen at that moment was the I know, you don't, I have, you want, I speak, you listen, I am, you aren't, I get paid, you pay, I stand, you sit, I'm wearing a jacket, you're not thing has to be temporarily suspended. And the technology is simply something that has enabled us to suspend that dichotomy, which we know is really true. I mean, it's an Ivy League university. I have a PhD. I'm good. They're kind of sophomoric. But you know what? Temporarily, I say to them, you're not sophomoric, I'm sophomoric. Thus the towel. And then they start talking. And I have this kind of, it's a Quaker university, I have this kind of weird Jewish Quaker belief that if you that there's truth in the room, and if you just let the room sit for a while, eventually the truth will come out. These are very smart people, our undergraduates, our graduate students. And in Coursera, I've found out that 35,000 of them are really smart. And if you just let them talk, they will talk. They will talk, and they're so smart. All they want to have is an opportunity to be smart. So one of the things that I've experimented with is thinking about my students before they become matriculants. That's weird, and I don't have time to explain that, but you could ask about it later. And I've begun to think more obviously about my students when they leave with the BA. Those are the people I really like. We call them alumni, but the term alumni conjures up pom-poms and flasks and coming home for homecoming, which is this Saturday. So with all due respect to that, the fact is that I maintain through this thing called electronic mail, it's really simple, we all have it, relationships with my former students, thousands of them. If I can teach 35,000 people I never heard of, I can surely spend time with the 3,300 students that I've taught in 28 years. And I do it. And it's really not hard. It may be scary. The number may be scary. But when you're teaching, what are you teaching, 50,000? What's 3,000 of the tuition-paying former devotees? These are current devotees. They're fabulous. So pre-matriculants and alumni, and you begin to realize that the course is nothing. Down with the course, down with the lecture, death to the lecture. The lecture should end. I call for the end of the lecture as we know it. The key to the flipped classroom is the end of the lecture. If you have one really good lecture in you, give it and record it. Can it. I think they used to say in Hollywood, put that in the can. Right, Peter? The can was the film can. Put it in the can. Well, now there's no can. They have these ones and zero cans. The key to the flipped classroom, to enabling our students to fill the room with their smartness and to create in them an expectation that they will actually work and prepare for the class and not come to class having not prepared because they know you're going to deliver everything unto them, to create expectations in them that they will be expected to rise to the occasion, and they can. They all have these ridiculous SAT scores. They all write well, basically. They all think well. You just have to get over the ums and the you-knows. And if you can sort of have an and you-know filter, you can hear the most remarkable things. We have the capacity to flip the classroom without the technology. We did it, some of us, before the technology came. Now the technology's here. It's a piece of cake. And if we're not doing it, we're going to be out of business. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say that. So I don't think we're going to be out of business. I think the henny pennyism is ridiculous, which has been partly caused by people like me and the guy sitting to my right and some other people out there, because we've kind of made this hullabaloo. Penn gave us an opportunity to hullabaloo. We've done it, and everybody wants to talk about it as if it hasn't been going on since around 1994. Now it's time for us to use the technology to support something we've always believed in, some of us, which is that the students ought to learn, not be told or talked at. That's it. It's as simple as that, and it's now 10 minutes.